Hello, everyone. So, anyone else want to say anything to cannibals real quick before you, Yuri, you can go out back and to the shed
Yeah,
if
I'm
you
just
want.
gonna hang out here for a while and look at this beautiful heart.
Yeah, they have a shed in the back, and at the back of the farm, you can really tell that there's a reason why this dwarf is staying here, not just because of their cult, but there's clearly been some sort of interworking because there is actually dwarven irrigation technology. It's kind of like rotating and pumping up water from even deeper underground and stuff. But this shed, is a mixture of a storeroom, a junk room for holding all sorts of junk, as we just were saying, and a bit of a mechanics workshop because there's a lot of mechanical things that need working on, especially with a dwarven irrigation system. So there's actually, some tools for taking a greater look at this heart.
Awesome. So I'm gonna do that. I'm also gonna ask for Rakoff's help because I'm assuming he understands organs in a way that I do not.
Yes.
Okie dokie.
I understand anatomy.
Give me an arcana with advantage, I'd say.
Thank you.
Still bad.
Big.
Oh, What?
But not a 1. So
Didn't it look like a 16 on your screen too?
yeah. I was like, oh yay! Wait, what?
I know.
Yeah. I looked at the dice and I'm like, that's a 16. I look down there, it's a 7.
So even with a 7, because this is actually going to give you a little bit of a base understanding on demons. Something you've read about, and it becomes a little more apparent. And even maybe Rakath can help kind of put up this together. The two of you sort of learn it together. Is that demons and fiends, when they're destroyed and they leave this realm, they leave no remnant, unless you trap their soul in a gem. Cut off their head or cut out their heart, in which case the bodies will remain. And that's clearly what happened here. Because it's so clean cut, seems that someone cut the head off a demon, and demon summoning happens. The Underdark is just a whole bunch of a weirder place than the surface world. There's a bunch more cults summoning demons. The Church of Ivrith summons demons as angels and things. It happens. Creatures from the hells are summoned. But this sort of gives you a little bit of a refresher on that. And yeah, I mean, you could use a heart as a fount of fiendish energy. What really inspires you, if you killed a demon and sucked its soul out, there's no soul left in the heart, or the essence, because they don't really have souls. You could use that in some kind of arcane pursuits. Not really discovered or decided what those pursuits are yet. But even this heart still has a lot of energy left in it, which could be, really inspiring. But you don't get much more than that.
Okay.
After a little bit of tinkering and prodding and poking and looking and handling, and licking and.
While we're doing that, can I kind of do? I want to do another medicine check to essentially kind of try and see if I can determine anything about the means and method by which they actually cut it out, not just that.
That's that's all you would get because you were helping. Was the head was cut off first, then the heart.
Okay.
Yeah.
Probably a full dissection.
Yeah.
One of the reasons why I asked Rakoff to help me was because could you cut out a little piece? just a little piece.
Part they won't notice missing.
Just a piece, a little morsel, one would say, if we were cannibals.
What I would do then, if you wish me to do that, is I would cut something out from the inside so that they wouldn't see it from the outside.
Yes.
May I use my tools?
Of course, please.
Ollie, may I use my tools?
Yeah, absolutely. If it's your best check, that would make sense.
Yeah, it is. No advantage or anything, just checking.
Nope. And can you describe your tools real quick and what you're doing here?
Ah, yes. Well.
Oh no.
On one of the tables, he takes out a nice leather roll and rolls it out it goes for around 4.5 feet of leather roll there, and there are just many metal implements there. Some sharp, some dull, some clearly used for clamping, some used for cutting, some used for piercing, some variety of needles used for putting into places where they might not be comfortable. These are delightfully clean and pristine and well-maintained torturer's tools. And I'm going to pull out a very small scalpel and a very small clamp so that I can clamp up one of the arterial veins to the heart. And I am going to just aim inside and just scrape off a small sliver so that it appears as though the heart just has a slightly different curvature to it.
Smart.
And that is a 17.
17's pretty good. Yeah. I mean, you take your time, which is really the thing is here you have the advantage of time. So with that, you do exactly that and remove a sliver, which does still glow a little bit, much less. You can much better tell that this is almost translucent without the energy inside it. And I imagine you put it in a tiny little glass ramekin for storage, but you think you did a pretty good job. It would take someone really paying attention for that, and you don't think these kind of people would be.
No,
you know?
I think they're probably going to put some kind of stuffing inside of the heart in order to actually prepare it so that it creates a nice smoking. And that's I would be explaining that to Yuna as I'm going through and saying, oh yes, I mean it's got enough space in here that they're probably going to stuff some form of, I would imagine some form of fermented dairy product would be my guess to put in here, and then
That would be lovely.
yes, that's what I'm thinking.
I like the idea Torum is there but cannot make a face because he is a robot.
And then he's going to clean his tool very, very carefully and cautiously, and then put it back very delicately into his leather case and roll it back up ever so, and tie it up and slide it back into his belt, and then pull the cloth back up over it so it's not apparent that it's there.
I'm going to examine the little piece that we took, and I'm going to turn to Voss, who's been so quiet this whole time.
I imagine, like...
Wonderful.
In my mind, you've been in this tent, in this shed, and Voss has been outside, like, with the animals.
Yeah.
In my soul. That just is aesthetic I want.
100%. Just have not really any reason to be in there.
Mm-hmm. So we're going to put that away, and we'll take the heart back to the
Before you
lovely
take it
group
back,
of
once,
cannibals.
like everything's done with like being careful with it, like he would probably try. Torin would probably try and find a moment when everyone's distracted or looking at the other piece, but he would probably walk over and just sort of do a little into the heart, and then go back to what he was doing.
Sure.
Yuna, may I carry this in? I'd like to suggest that they use the fermented dairy. I think
Of course.
they've likely thought of it, but
You never know.
you never know. Exactly. And so I would wrap it back up first and then carry it and bring it back in, and I would place it down exactly where we had placed it down before, and I would say, have you considered, I'm sure you have, but just in case you haven't, putting in some fermented dairy into the center of the heart in order to allow it
We
to
were going to do a mixture of cheese and
Yes.
plump helmet cooked together.
Oh, excellent.
It's a dwarven mushroom. We use it for everything.
Oh, that sounds amazing. Thank you again so much for allowing us to examine it.
Well, why not, really?
Yes.
Knowledge is a virtue, or something of the sort. And the drow woman just nods. Clearly used to this. I'll have to send some commendations on how good the service has been.
Oh, thank you. My house would be thrilled to hear it.
By the way, then this is speaking to the drow.
Mm-hmm.
I love your mask. The way it hides the eyes as well is an excellent choice. I wish I had something to put in between the hood and the... I'll have to figure something out. You've given me an excellent idea.
I do have this made by an artisan. I could give you their location.
That would be excellent. Thank you very much.
She will actually write down an address for you in the city.
Thank you very much. And he'll pocket it. Not looking at it now, he'll look at it later when there's time.
I'll tell Rakath, I use magic to color mine, and I will cast prestidigitation on my eyes to make them red. The normal drowish color.
Yes, I am slightly concerned that I don't want to hide them completely. I don't want to use magic necessarily to mask them because I would like to have the option to remove the mask at any point so that I can show my true colors to those who need to see it. But I do appreciate the suggestion as well.
Alrighty.
Now we go home.
Yeah, you probably start heading out. They'll give you happy goodbyes, and you know what? They were, the drow would actually hand you some food for your way back.
May I ask for your name?
This is to the drow.
Yes.
She will say that her name is Gala Aeld.
Gala Aeld.
She will,
nice
be written down.
My name is Rakath. At least that's what they call me. I have no name. But a monster I am, and so a monster I'm called. Thank you again for your hospitality.
May we meet again. And we'll push a bundle of sliced meats and breads into your hands. And you can start heading off on the way home.
Just gonna toddle off home. I'm a little bit worried about what these meats are, but apart from that... Well, they were absolutely delightful.
Agreed. We should go visit them sometime.
Oh, most certainly. I'd like to learn quite a bit more from them. And if they
Maybe
have...
one day we'll even have a proper feast with them.
Yes. I wonder how those fish folk would have tasted.
Well, I can tell you that their souls are the most beautiful color.
Really?
Have you seen them up to the light yet? Now I will take
No.
one out of the jar and hold it up. Like, look right there.
Torm will actually look down as well.
And the funny thing is, when Torm gets closer, he kind of ruins it because he's letting off light.
Fascinating. Thank you for the insight.
And all the while, Voss is trailing at the back of the party.
Yeah, I'm just kind of walking specifically those people we just met, tick every box for people I don't want to associate with.
Rakath is going to kind of hang back a little bit and walk with Voss and say, seems slightly uncomfortable. Is this not your usual experience?
I don't typically associate with dishonorable folk such as them.
Or such as me.
You said it. Not me.
I know what I am. I'm a tool. Nothing more.
Each one of us is a tool in a separate regard. Some more finely honed than others.
Yes, well, there's an art to what I do, I will tell you that. Would you like to see sometime?
I'm sure I've seen enough to understand exactly what your art is. But I suppose you wouldn't have been invited along if you weren't at least good for something.
Right. Well, I suppose the same can be said for you.
This is true.
We all have our reasons. We are all tools, after all. And he's going to walk back ahead again and talk to Yuna and say, "Can I see that gem again?"
Of course. I'll pull out the jar, and I'll hand the jar to you.
Excellent. And he'll very carefully kind of look at it in the light and also like turn it in the light, but also turn his head so he's not really doing too much with that.
It's what mums do.
Exactly.
I'll also run up to Voss at the tail end of that, like interrupting whatever thoughts he currently has about
Yeah.
life, and I'll put my like arm like through his, like far too formally, like informally, sorry, and I'll just be like, "You will never guess what we discovered about the heart and what we collected from it. I will show you when we get back to the castle." So excited.
Cool. That honestly, you would see him look more uncomfortable when you do that than probably anything else that's happened today. Just because of how unexpected it is.
Mhm.
Just nod and be like, if that is what you wish, then I look forward to it.
Excellent. And we should probably get some proper food as well.
You mean aside from the hearts of other living creatures?
Yes, I don't think you ate much there, so.
That was not a mistake.
And Rakath is going to pull some bread out of the bundle that we got and hand it to Voss and say, "No harm in eating bread, though."
I'll just give it a sniff and be like,
It is dwarven bread. It's a little purple.
Yeah, but as long as it doesn't
Purple and
smell
grey.
like drought flesh, then that's fine.
Nah.
Then it's all good.
It's mushroom bread.
Perfect.
I imagine that Rakath probably has like a gross bag of the what was it, cornvu? What did
Convu, yeah.
convu? Yeah. He probably just has a gross bag of like that, kind of a little bit slimy, and he probably just
Yeah. No, it's like you often have it as rations, like dried, but someone who's really spends their night out in a town, they have a little leathery pouch where they can keep it nice and sticky.
And that's what I do.
Fair. All right, you make your way back into the city, back to the house. Unless there's anything else you guys want to do. Job, well and truly done. So the question is, what is it that you guys want to do next?
Have a feast in our home
Yeah, like
on my brother's dime.
Yeah, you like go back and you tell the servants like prepare a feast, and there's I meant to ask you during the break. Is Nero who I think it is? Or what's the name of your
I'm
friend?
sorry. That was the nickname for my brother.
Ah, no, he's a J.
And I think it's yeah. Okay,
yeah,
I think White Catch, the name of that was like a nickname.
Yeah.
For him.
What's the name of your boy toy?
I don't have a name for him. I didn't make one up.
Whoa, even
can
more
be Nero
scandalous.
Strangers passing.
No, I was really hoping. I did. Not
I probably should have done it beforehand.
We'll just do Nero then. How does that sound?
It's a good slave name.
Yeah.
Because he actually is a. You go to see him. He is one of the house servants. I imagine Rakath would be the one who does pick up how happy the servant is to see the master for a moment before kind of relaxing himself. And he is a one of those kind of mixed-blooded elves. There's a little bit of drow in him. Actually, one of his eyes is red and one of them is kind of brown. And he will kind of like, a feast, mistress. That can be arranged. Would you want it in the dining hall?
Yes.
And we'll kind of start organizing the rest of the servants. Start cooking and brewing and preparing and buying.
So how are we all feeling?
Oh, yeah, I guess I'll go take my armor off. Since we're here.
I just ask you that and you walk away.
Yeah, literally, after that, I just walk away and start unbuckling straps.
That's, it's in character. It's all good.
That went pretty well.
I would very much appreciate it if we had someone in the dungeons. I think
perhaps
your
next
brother
time.
has. I think your brother has put me on this because he doesn't expect to have anybody in the dungeons for a time. Otherwise, he would need me here.
You say that, then one of the servants goes up and says, "There's a new body in the dungeons.
Oh, excellent.
Oh,
The master
Gotcha.
said."
oh, as a favor, if you are ever done with anybody in the dungeons and we are to get rid of them, perhaps I could take their souls.
Oh,
Just let me know.
You say that while the servant girl's right there, and her eyes go a bit wide. She just kind of hangs her head a little low. Because some of the servants have ended up in the dungeons.
Oh, dear.
Rakath is going to turn to her and very much know what she's afraid of. A more incentive to be good, isn't it? And
Yes, master.
I am not a master.
Yes, master. Of
Thank
course
you.
not, master.
Thank you for calling me that. I do appreciate it nonetheless. And Rakath is going to get up and actually pat the servant on the shoulder and say, I
Very
have
tense.
business to attend to.
Ella,
But you will join the feast, won't you?
I will have to see how the time goes, but I would certainly love to. Now, Vost, come along now, dear. We're going to go and show you what I do for a living.
Am I back at this point?
It's like you're coming back into the room.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that.
And
maybe he
Voss,
doesn't
you
know what's
must attend
happening
dinner.
yet.
Yes, if I'm not finished before the feast begins, you are, of course, free to leave, Voss. Dinner is more important than my work. At least for you, not for me, but for you nonetheless.
Man's gotta work.
A man's gotta work. I have to pay the rent somehow. They don't charge me directly, so I prefer to make sure that when I have work, I do it diligently.
Okay.
There's
Go
go
off.
in that anyways.
Go off down to the dungeons. And there is a body in the dungeons. A living one. A drow. According to the note that clearly has been written by Jericho. Jericho? Jericho. It's slightly different. I'm original. Is that an object of our interest went missing from her herbalist shop. And she's been thrown in one of the cells. Drow woman, her garb would sell that she is some sort of herbalist. A couple of sprigs of plant in pockets and things like that.
And so something went missing from her shop, and she's in the dungeon now.
Mm-hmm. You've come to learn that drow often assume betrayal first. And they're
Yes.
usually right.
They're usually not wrong, is maybe a better way.
That's much more in character. This kind of thing has happened many times, especially for Jericho. Someone that has made a slight against the family will often end up in the dungeons. There's been more than a couple of times that someone has, insulted Una. That I've been saying every variation, but the right one.
They're all
Yuna.
correct. It's fine.
You know what's going to be even more confusing is anytime I use a short bow now, it's going to be called a Yumi, because that's
Ah!
what the short bow's called.
But there's definitely been moments where at a ball someone has insulted Yuna and then they show up in the dungeons. Stuff like that. It's your job to, sort out what's actually going on. Or just hurt them. Sometimes it's just ruin their day. Ruin their century,
Voss, please take a seat anywhere you find comfortable except for the chair in the very middle of the room, as I will be utilizing that for my work.
The woman kind of like gets up against the bars, and her red eyes kind of glance between the two of you, and in Elvish towards Voss is like, you're here to let me out of here. I don't know where the bottles went. I simply don't.
In Elvish, before Voss can answer, Rakath is going to respond and say, he is here to watch.
Watch what? Watch what? What are you trying to do to me?
Oh, I'm going to ask you some questions. Please, come with me. And he's going to open the cell door and grip her by the shoulder and escort her gently, very gently, to the chair in the center of the room. And he's going to pull up a stool. He's not going to tie her up or anything. And he's just going to sit in front of her on the stool. He's still wearing his masks at this point, and he says, please don't be unsettled. I'm different than your kind.
I don't care what you are. All I know is that something broke into my herbalist shop and stole many things.
Really? Tell me more about that.
I was trancing, and there was crashing, and things were stolen.
What things were stolen?
Bottles of a reagent. It's very important things on behalf of House Jarviskjir that cannot be allowed. Every moment that I'm here, they're not being found.
And do you know why I'm here? I am here to help have those items be found. That is my job. I'm an investigator, you see. I am here to help get us to a point where the business of House Jarviskjir can resume.
I want their business to continue. I have nothing against the house. I just want to go back to my shop. It was stolen from, and now that I am not there, it will only be stolen from more.
Just wondering if
She's very scared.
I was gonna say, can I also roll insight? I
Yeah.
want to see, since I'm present.
Your dice is stealth mode on my overlay. Ha.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. She's scared and panicky, which is always hard to read for a drow because they're going through a lot of emotions very quickly.
And Rakath is going to put his hand on her shoulder and say very calmly, I need you to calm down. I am not asking you to hurry here simply because I want to have the business. I am asking you slow down so that we can discuss this and you can go home. That's all.
I want to go home, yes.
Good. Then please, just answer the questions that I'm asking, and that's all.
Please ask the question again.
The question again is, what are the reagents?
You can give me a persuasion and or intimidate. And by that I mean or.
They are the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are the same.
I have been told that they are... I'm not told anything. I was to treat them, alchemical reagent, pickling fluids, enhanced with psionic energies from aether stones for... It's linked to mind flayers. That's all I was told. Like something to do with their food.
Fascinating.
It's
And
difficult work.
What is it you do with the reagents?
It's a simple liquid compound that is extremely malleable and absorbing of energies. It could also be used as a pickling fluid that the psionic energy is going to be poured into using the aether stones.
Very interesting.
And the Aether Stones were stolen as well, but I did complete the processes and it was going to be sold, given back to the house. But it was stolen.
Now, you said sold, and then you said given. Which is it?
I've been paid for the work. I am doing work on behalf. I am being told. This is my duty, my job.
Compensated
For my
I understand.
work, yes.
Yes. That is fine. I just wanted to make sure that we understood exactly what that transaction was. Now, who precisely have you spoken to about this?
I spoke to the master of House Jarviskjir when he came to pick up the items, and he brought me along here.
And who else have you spoken to?
I mentioned it to the city guard.
I need you to remain calm. I am asking you a simple question.
Yes,
I am not assuming that you have done it with betrayal, but rather simply that you did not know the value of these items.
I mentioned it to the city guard, and I have been mentioning the practice to many people coming into the shop. It is a small establishment. The apparatus is quite particular. It is present. Or was.
I understand. Oh, the apparatus itself was also stolen, was it?
The whole... Yes. It's at this time, one of the servants does come down and will say, "The first course of the feast is about to begin."
Voss, thank you very much for joining us. You're of course welcome to stay if you'd like, but I know that Lady Yuna would prefer for you to join. It appears I still have some work to do.
I just stand up and start headed out, and I'll just say, I'll inform her you were predisposed.
And if you can, please save some biscuits for me. They're quite divine. And I'm going to continue now. So, with that in mind, is the servant still in the room?
She's kind of lingering for a split second, yes.
Is this the same one who
Yeah.
was terrified of coming down here? And
Yeah.
I'm going to turn and say, "Oh, you're welcome to come and watch if you'd like. Please take the seat."
She
boss."
runs up the stairs.
I don't know why they're so afraid of me. Well, perhaps it's this. And he opens up now the hood and the mask and says, "I don't really understand it, though. Do you?"
She's tense and paling. And it's actually where we're going to Star Wars cut. Upstairs, where the dining table is filled with whatever the kitchens could set up. You do have meats and you have stews, and the main event is a good, hearty curry, the kind that, you know, stains your fingers. With the amount of spices and things with it, almost like kind of bright reddish orange, mixture of konvu and of some meat and stuff, and a little bit of extra mushroomy veg and things. And Draco will actually come out of his chambers at the behest of a servant, and will just look at the table, and then look at Yuna, and he just motions through his hands like back and forth.
Oh, it is so exciting. We were successful in our endeavors. And do you recall the heart I told you about?
I recall
We
the
were
heart,
able
yes.
to get a small piece of it.
I don't
It
know
is
why
a
you would.
demon's heart. I'm so excited.
Excuse me, the dwarf emissary was dealing in demon hearts.
Yes, they're going to eat it.
You see him visibly shudder. Yes, well, that will have to be forwarded to the tables of the Daimao, but I'm more wondering why our pantry has been raided
Oh, in celebration, of course.
Well, if it was
Please
such
join
a good job, well done, and you're so happy, I suppose celebrating is apparent. He will sit at the head of the table, which I imagine was being set up for you, because you're the one ordering people around. And then you
Which
see
is
people
fine.
moving around some of the things. And then he like leans over and looks at Torum, and he realizes like, there's only going to be 3 people at this feast. What kind of feast had 3 people at it?
I mean, we can invite more.
That's such short notice.
Who else would want to hear the news about our heart?
No one should. You should not tell people about the heart.
No? Okay, very well.
I understand that you are intrigued, but if the dwarves are dabbling in some sort of demon cannibalism, although cannibalism is definitely not the correct parlance, then it is things that must go above our heads and must be told to the right people. And if it's told to other people, then they will tell the people above our heads, and then they will get the credit.
I must say, though, they were quite lovely. Very polite.
I will put that on the record.
Oh, please do. I really hope to be invited to one of their feasts one day.
And eat demon hearts.
Yes, of course. I can't eat the piece that I have now. There's too much to be gained from it.
He just motions to one of the servants to start, like, serving him food in this time.
Are you not going to invite anybody else?
No one else would come.
Oh, okay. Oh, well.
We can give the rest to the servants or something. I'm feeling
what a good
charitable. And then he very waves away the servant that's like a little too close to him. Very sharply. And feast begins. And he will, actually when Voss comes and sits by, he will actually clap his hands and will say, "It is a blessing from the Queen to have a member of the Nor bloodline back in Deveskos. I don't know exactly why you disappeared from all the family trees, but bigger and better things, right?"
I'll just give him like a simple bow and say, I am equally honored to be present. It is good to serve a family that still remembers some of the old ways.
Best way to handle the new and strange ways of the world we live in is to respect and remember the old. He does actually glance to Yuna for a moment. And then
I smile at that, just beaming. I'm like,
and
oh,
then
yes,
very
of course.
quickly says, "I do hope my baby sister has not been causing you too much trouble. She has some of the aspects of our mother, which is horrifying." And then actually
In
does
a
motion
good
to a
way, of
servant.
course.
And motions to a servant and say, "See that mother has some of this food. It might do her, well, something." And then they do sort of spin a
I
ball.
will just kind of look between the two of them as he says this and just say, well, she is the future of your house. And in my house, the words we say about this is that the past rests its blade on the future.
What a lovely saying.
I wouldn't say it's lovely, especially if that blade ends up in my back, but
Oh, we won't do that. Don't even joke about such things.
I just look at it, I don't think that he was telling a joke.
What else could it be? Don't be ridiculous. The two of you.
at least you had some sense not to invite that monster up here.
Oh, I did. He's busy right now, though. We'll bring him down
Oh.
some food later.
What a blessing. You've got to remember that's not a... Just like your little toy, it might be able to walk and might be able to talk and might be able to think and might be useful, but it doesn't mean that it is a person.
But I like them.
He actually does kind of like shrug and nod at that, just accepting and understanding this argument has happened multiple times, most likely. And is just like, yeah, okay. All right. Is there anything else you'd want to, kind of, speeding things up, Rakath? How's torture going?
She's been compliant so far, so I haven't actually had to torture her.
Just intimidation, yeah, and interrogation.
Just playing a little good cop, and then if she fucks up, I'm gonna be a bad cop. I don't have a partner here anymore because Voss left for dinner, so I can't have him be the good cop. So I have to be the good cop first, and then if she screws up, I have to be the bad cop. But in terms of asking her things, I mean, mostly at this point, I'm just going to be pressing her essentially for details of every single person that came into her shop that she told about it. And essentially getting descriptions of every single person that came into her shop that she told about it, and making sure that if there's anybody that I might recognize, or any house members I might recognize, or anything like that I might recognize, of people of note. Pressing her for information on what the not what the process is or anything like that, but rather what is the size of it. So what kind of team would need to have carried it out. I'm giving her the full swath of investigative questions basically right now.
So, can you give me a history check?
Yes.
When it comes to some of those other questions, the apparatus would have, she describes it as would have, if you were removing the whole thing, would have required several women. When she talks about the people that she saw, she's starting to get a bit frazzled at all these questions. Her memory's starting to dissipate. But you don't recognize any of the people that she mentions. So all you really get is that it would have been quite a few people, and she describes it. She describes like this shop being in tatters. So it seems like it was a violent break-in as well, rather than a gentle one.
I hope you understand that while I need to go and check this out, we'll have to keep you here partially for your safety and partially for ensuring that nothing has gone horribly wrong that might have been not to do with your fault, but rather the fault of someone near to you. I'm worried about what could have happened.
Yes, I understand.
And I do appreciate you being so open with me. I understand I can be quite horrific, but I appreciate your cooperation, and it will most certainly be noted. The only person who would actually be doing anything about your poor cooperation would actually be me. So, you'll be quite well accommodated for.
All right. And as you put her back in her cell, that's actually a good place for us to stop tonight and call it quits on episode 1 of an Underdark game. We're starting to see some fun stuff happening. I was saying in chat, it's a weird one because not only are you brand new characters, you're in a completely alien place that everything needs to be introduced. So we're gonna just strap in to Oli's Wild Ride, Underdark Ride, because
also playing completely vastly different characters from what we played before, which is very fun.
So true.
Yeah. And also, the way I do the Underdark, there's a lot of differences. But that's just the way the demon heart crumbles. Let's talk about who we are and how we are and what our favorite feast food is. That's right. I'm adding an extra question. With Dungeon Dad. Go ahead.
That's me. What's up, party people? I have a YouTube channel. You can find me there. And if you go on YouTube and search Dungeon Dad, it's about D&D. It's about monsters from D&D that don't exist anymore in 5th edition, but now they do because I make them a thing in 5e, complete with a stat block and a little 10-minute video about how
blurb.
How you can just do whatever you want with them. You're the DM and the power's in your hands.
That's the stuff that matters. That's why you know, things like the Creature Codex, Tome of Beast are interesting, but the fun stuff is sitting down and thinking, well, what could you do with this monster? Right?
Yeah.
Rather than just, this is what it is. That's the fun stuff, and that's why, you know.
That's my favorite part of making any of those videos is brainstorming ideas. And if you like brainstorming of ideas, this week's video that's coming out in like tomorrow is about Rascalin, which are like the biggest rascals that ever ran the 7 deserts. They're basically just foxes that are made of silver, and they live to just fuck with people. They don't try to kill you. They don't do a lot of stuff. They just bring you out of the desert and confuse you and watch you die. It's great. So if that sounds like something you want to be a part of, which I'm sure it doesn't, then swing by.
Oh no, I got a
there.
new party
Oh.
that's in the deserts.
No, there you go.
Well,
Moving on, and what's your favorite feast food? Come on.
yeah, important.
I don't know.
That was a disappointing answer for that one.
I'm gonna go with rice.
Just plain.
Just white rice.
What?
That's like saying pasta, like, and anything really.
Rice with no more than a dash of soy sauce.
What is
Any
wrong with
more
you?
than-
What
any
feasts
more
are
than
you
that-
going to?
Any more than that, and the whole dish is ruined.
This is
Like an
lost me.
eyedropper of soy
All
sauce.
right. Well, I know someone who's going to give me a better answer, and that's Aaron. Who are you? What are you doing?
Hi, I'm good. I'm Aaron. I really enjoyed the game today, and I love this character, I love this group, I love this world. It's gonna be awesome. Can't wait for next week. My favorite feast? Well, Yuna's would be the Souls of Living.
She just needs to
gonna say-
elevate to just snorting the soul gems, just crunch them up.
Every day, crush it up. I would say that I've had Mexican food all week long because it's the week of Cinco de Mayo, and I live right on the border. So there's been a lot of fun parties this week, and that's gonna be my answer. Although it changes.
That's a good. No, that's a solid answer. Mexican
Yeah.
food is definitely better in vast quantities.
Yes, it's been like a week straight of just like big giant feasts and parties.
Can
and
I come to
everything. It's been great.
Arizona next
Yeah,
May?
absolutely. It's been a really good time.
Speaking of a good time, it's always a good time when his best boy is involved. Tash!
Hi, I'm Tesh with Teshu. You can find me under that name on YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. And you should follow me if you're interested in any of like the looter shooter games or RPGs or anything like that. And cute animal gifts. I post a lot of those on Twitter. And as for food, carbonara. I could eat so much carbonara.
So not
I
you're going
always-
to a feast, you're going to have a feast. That's
Oh,
carbonara. Fair.
Reasonable.
Every
Yeah.
time I get like too much, like you know when you get given too much food but you eat it anyway. That's carbonara. If I get given too much food, I will always eat it anyway.
You know what? Fair. Rakath. By that I mean William.
One and the same, really.
I get too much of him and I keep asking for more. Who are you?
One and the same, really.
Yeah. No, I
yeah.
want less Rakath. I'm imagining him and I'm
Less
it's,
visual.
and it's
Rakath.
always in like cause crazy lighting here too, so we got a lot of weird shit going on.
Yeah, Rakath is a hideous figure, and I'm really happy with him. Genuinely, my favorite description for a character I've created in a long
It was
time.
fun.
It's a great description, and I'm really glad that the token turned out as amazing as it did. Thank you for that, Ollie. You can find me at twitch.tv/WillNGraham, where I'm going to be streaming some more Baba Is You tomorrow evening around 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I've been doing a little bit more of that, although I've had some health stuff come up recently that has stopped me from that. So I'm getting back into it now again. I am also going to be going to D&D Live 2019 in the May long. It's not the May long weekend everywhere. I need to forget. In Canada, it's the May long weekend, so it's very exciting.
It's a long weekend this weekend here.
Yeah, that's weird.
So that's even worse.
The US is at the end of the week, end of the month.
Yeah. Oh, you and we have the. Anyways, doesn't matter. May 18th, I'm gonna be at D&D Live 2019 over on twitch.tv/DND4. Because that's 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, where I'm going to be playing part of the new storyline, The Descent, with some really cool people. Mostly, I'm excited because I get to meet Doxy in person, so everybody knows that that's hype. So yeah, that's the big thing for me right now. Stay tuned for more information about that, but also stay tuned for more things from Oli and I in the future, because we've got secrets, many secrets,
Bigger and better things.
bigger and better.
But the thing that's really hype is me and my bigger and better dick. Hey, it's me. There's a bunch of JavaScript stuff going on at the moment. Some people say I'm doing too much. I say they're right. This show here is in the Underdark. If you've watched the Wednesday show that is at 7 p.m. BST, you may notice some similarities because they're also entering the same area of the Underdark at the same time. So there's some fun little things going on. Definitely to get the best out of both shows, watch both shows. I don't care what your schedule is, make it work. But then there's also another 6 hours of content weekly. Stop that, Will. You're freaking me the fuck out.
I'm making myself dizzy.
Yeah!
Stop now. I'm gonna.
There
Oh,
are
boy.
2 Patreon games. This show is supported by Patreon. For $5 or more on the Patreon, you get to listen to 2 other Jarviskjir games. There is the Monday game that has a bunch of mercenaries who are doing things. They may or may not be dealing with betrayal and ethics and morals of certain things. I don't really want to get into because it's all spoilers. But that's a very D&D-ish game. There's very like D&D adventuriness going on in that game right now because they have a mercenary company and they do sometimes just be like, oh, okay, slay a giant, off we go. But now there's also a Friday game which sets place in the pirate city of Bilgewaite that's only really ever been mentioned and never been super delved into. So there's some pirate stuff and cowboy stuff because I'm just jamming the 2 together. Both of those are on Patreon. You can also support for more to create magic items and NPCs that will be slotted into the games, which is neat. I am streaming Red Dead at the moment. If I'm not doing D&D, I'm just streaming a little Red Dead, and there's some commissions coming up and bigger and better things. There is no better time to join Discord and hang out and be actually a part of some really big new things happening soon. But next week we have more of this, and that'll be when we see you again. So until next time, eat. Oh, and my favorite feast is, you know, pork roast. If you ever have like a proper pork roast?
I didn't say mine either. Jesus.
What's yours?
I just said Jesus.
Oh.
Sorry.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah.
The body of Christ, bread.
If you ever have
bread.
like a proper pork roast, like twisting on the spit, it's not actually that good, but it's a nice little experience. I'm outie. See you later.